Get ready, Padres fans. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one, gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Kansas City Royals in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Royals, left-hander Noah Cameron, and for the Padres, right-hander German Marquez. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside our Padres Radio Network studios. First pitch coming up at 11:10 a.m. on the West Coast. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We hear from former Padre pitcher and current Royal Michael Wacha. And we check in with Jesse Agler in just a little bit. Our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 48-50. They entered today 3.5 games out of a wild card spot in the National League. Today is game 3 of a 10-game road trip to begin the second half of the season. Royals, meanwhile, 40-59. They entered this series in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. Kansas City then won the series opener on Friday. As far as the middle game of this series yesterday, let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Bottom half of the first inning yesterday, Griffin Canning on the mound for San Diego. Carter Jensen hit a leadoff single. He was still on base with 2 men away for Lane Thomas.
0-1 pitch, and Thomas sends it in the air deep to left field. Gavin Sheets backing up at the wall. This one gonna go for the second consecutive game. Lane Thomas, a home run in his first at bat. This time it's a 2-run shot, and the Royals take a 2-0 lead in the first.
Royals led 2-0 after that first inning. Let's fast forward to the third. Randy Dobnak still on the mound for Kansas City. Fernando Tatis Jr. led off.
1-2, hung a breaking ball. Tatis hits it in the air to left field and deep. Collins is back at the wall. This one gonna go. Fernando Tatis Jr. with his 6th of the year. Kind of threatened last night. Couple of fly balls deep to right. And here this afternoon, he clears the wall and left. Padres are on the board. It's 2-1.
Padres trailed 2-1 after 2.5 innings. Canning then issued a walk to begin the bottom of the third. Later in the inning, it was Jack Caglione.
And Canning's first pitch is laced into the left center field gap. Sheets and Merrill coming together. That one will bounce between them, hit up against the wall. Sheets picks it up off the warning track. Jensen rounding third. He'll come in to score. It's an RBI double for Jack Caglione. The Royals get that run back, and it's 3-1.
Padres down 3-1 going to the fourth inning. Canning back to work in the bottom half. A runner on second base with 2 men away for Isaac Collins.
2-1. Collins lines it into center field. Merrill coming in, has to play it on a hop. Massey rounding third. Here comes the throw to the plate. Cut by Machado. Throw back to first. Not in time. RBI single by Collins, and 4-1 Royals.
So the Royals, a 4-1 lead. Padres had plenty of opportunities in this game. They went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position through 5 innings, 1 for 9 with RISP through 6 innings. The one hit they had with a runner in scoring position was a bunt single. Matt Waldron working in the bottom half of the 6th inning. He gave up a single and a 2-run home run to Salvador Perez. The Royals took a 6-1 lead. That would go on to be our final score in yesterday's game in Kansas City. Royals 6 and the Padres 1, and now the Padres trying to salvage this series finale against Kansas City, a team that came into this series tied for the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. So hopefully the Padres can Flip the switch today and find a way to pick up a win in Kansas City before this road trip takes them to Atlanta. Padres will play 4 in Atlanta Monday through Thursday, then 3 in Miami next weekend, Friday through Sunday, before they return to San Diego. As we get ready for this one, let's go out to Kauffman Stadium in KC.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, before we look ahead to today's game, let's quickly recap what we've seen the last couple of days in Kansas City. Obviously, a very, very tough loss on Friday, sort of a more normal game yesterday, not the result the Padres wanted. How do you frame what we've seen on this road trip so far?
Yeah, a couple of very tough losses. Like you said, Friday, one of the more nutty games I think we've seen in 2026. And then yesterday, just a frustrating loss, with all the opportunities that the Padres had. The doubles that didn't get cashed in, the first and second, nobody out in the fifth inning. Bases loaded, 1 out in the fifth inning, didn't score. First and third, 1 out the next inning, didn't score. Lead walk, later on in the game, didn't score. Kind of the story of the day. And, we've seen a lot of games like that this year. And so between those two games, obviously a tough way to begin the second half, and not exactly what you wanted to see when we began, the conversation on Friday night. You and I, we talked about how important these 10 games were and what they meant from a big picture standpoint, between now and the trade deadline on August 3rd. Beginning 0-2 is not what anybody had in mind down in the clubhouse and in the dugout or in the broadcast booth for that matter. And so now obviously the opportunity is to really try and get hot again and pick it up here this afternoon against the Royals.
Well, the Padres will have an opportunity today to take on a young left-hander, Noah Cameron, on the mound for Kansas City today. In the midst of his second year in the major leagues, was pretty good when he faced the Padres as a rookie last June in San Diego. Jesse, what can you tell us about this young lefty for KC?
Yeah, he was probably their best pitcher last year. Had a pretty fantastic rookie season. It's interesting because, it wasn't necessarily like a top prospect. He was 26, 27 years old kind of guy, but doesn't throw hard. Came up last year and was just rock solid for them, throughout the entire season. This year, been a little bit more up and down. Got off to a nice start. Then he had some bumps, got on track again, and now been bumpy again the last 6 outings. Been very, very rough. A lot of home runs as of late, including 3 in his last start. So hopefully, the Padres will be able to take advantage of that. Pods have not bombed against lefties this year in terms of homers. But, maybe on a warm day in Kansas City, they'll be able to take advantage of him and his home run troubles. We'll see. Kind of have that right-handed lineup in there today. France cleaning up, Cronenworth and Sheets on the bench. We'll see. But, that's I would imagine the plan, try and take advantage of a guy who's had some struggles lately. There have been command issues for Noah Cameron lately. He's thrown a lot of pitches early in the game lately. So, the Padres are certainly a team, even when they have not scored a lot of runs this year, they have been able to drive pitch counts up with some regularity. They'll certainly take their walks. So, they can make life very, very difficult on this guy. And, we'll see how that all plays out.
Germán Marquez on the mound for San Diego today. We'll talk more about him coming up a little bit later. Was fairly solid in his final 3 outings coming off the IL before the break. Jesse, I want to ask you about the Royals as a whole. It's an interesting club in the sense of, obviously, it was a very, very tough first half of the season. Although, you look at their lineup, they've got, a lot of young core pieces, Bobby Witt Jr., obviously, and then you've got Pasquantino, you've got Caglione. What's your general sense of the Royals right now who, hovered around 500 last year? They were kind of a surprise in 2024. And then this season, obviously, until the last couple of days, has not gone according to plan.
Yeah, as you said, right, into the playoffs 2 years ago, 86 wins. Last year, 82 wins in what, is such an odd and tough to understand division. And now, this year sitting at 40-59, even after winning the first 2 games here this weekend. They're a little bit of a weird team, right? And so are the Padres this season. I'm certainly not, casting stones or anything like that. But definitely, some nice young pieces. But, it requires more than that. Obviously, in this game. And, look, Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the most dangerous hitters in all of baseball. Caglione maybe is an emerging star kind of guy. We'll see. Pasquantino has not been the same guy this year that probably they hoped they were getting after he had the really big year last year. Salvador Perez can still hit the ball out of the park, but obviously, he's kind of on the down slope of what is a Hall of Fame career. And then, it's kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The rotation is filled up with a couple of guys who are also, I think, on the back nine and, still can throw the ball nicely. We saw Lugo do it the other day. But, it kind of feels a little bit piecemeal to me, what the Royals are when you consider, kind of the young core, if you want to call them that, and then, the guys in the rotation that are kind of plucked, from here and there. They're not a bad team, on paper or anything like that. They're having, as you said, a tough season. But, yeah, I mean, they're just kind of, they are what they are. They've got some good players, certainly. They've got some young players, certainly. And, when you've got young guys, I think especially, those first few years, there's probably going to be some more volatile ups and downs for those guys, unless they are that true superstar kind of dude like Bobby Witt. And so, because of that, you're probably going to have to ride the wave a little bit. And there are going to be years like this year for them, I think.
Yeah, I really do like watching Salvador Perez. He's such a great player. Been around such a long time. Going to go to Cooperstown one day. So we'll see Salvador Perez play first base today for the Royals. And we shall see if the Padres can find a way to salvage this series finale in Kansas City. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, first pitch is coming up in just a little while, coming your way in about 50 minutes on this Sunday. Of course, it's a Padres and Pancake Sunday for you as we get ready for this one. If you want to chime in, let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from on this Sunday morning. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well, Sammy Lev there too. You can also comments on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and how you're getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball on this Sunday. You got the coffee maker going, you got the waffles, in the toaster, or however you're making waffles in the waffle maker. However you're getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball, let us know. And we may just give you a shout out live here on the air. When we come back, we'll take our first look at the Padres lineup today. We'll also tell you about a move the Padres made today. Pretty interesting, actually. So we'll get into that when we return on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our Padres Radio Network studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up in just a little bit at 11:10 a.m. from Kansas City. Series finale between the Padres and the Royals as the Padres continue this 10-game road trip to begin the second half. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. We'll get into what the Padres did transaction-wise in a moment. First, let's hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Well, day game after a night game on a Sunday, so no pregame media availability for Craig Stammen today. So let's revisit some of what Craig had to say yesterday. First, some comments after yesterday's 6-1 loss in Kansas City. As we said on the postgame yesterday, the real issue for the Padres in that game, it was the offense. The Padres had plenty of opportunities. Through 5 innings, they went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Through 6 innings, they went 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and the one hit they had was a bunt single by Jake Cronenworth. So that bunt single did not produce a run, and the only run the Padres got yesterday was via the Fernando Tatis Jr. solo home run. Here was Craig Stammen after yesterday's loss on the offense.
And 2 nights in a row, 3 double play balls. Those are rally killers. Clearly, bases loaded, 1 out, first and third, 1 out, and we got 2 hitters up that we really like having up in those spots, and we're just grounding in a double play. It's kind of an MO the first 2 games after the break, and you got to figure out a way to get the ball in the air in those situations.
Overall, obviously you had a lot of 1-out doubles, lead-off doubles. You had good at-bats. You had some walks. What did you think of the at-bats overall?
Yeah, I would say average. There was as many good ones as somewhat empty at bats, and so that's hard to score runs when the bats are just sporadic like that. You need them a little bit more consistent and put together, and we got to figure out a way to get that done. But today we did get it done.
So that was Padres manager Craig Stammen after that loss yesterday in Kansas City. Taking a look ahead to the series against Atlanta. Padres starting pitchers in that series against the Braves starting tomorrow in Atlanta. Tomorrow it'll be left-hander J.P. Sears on the mound. Tuesday, right-hander Walker Buehler. Wednesday, right-hander Michael King. And then Thursday, Griffin Canning will take the mound. Walker Buehler notably did not pitch in this series. Padres did aim to give him a little extra rest before his next start, and probably prudent considering it was a rough ending to the first half for Walker Buehler. Here was Craig Stammen on how extra rest can help Walker Buehler in that start and moving forward after that.
Yeah, I think it will a lot. I think you can never estimate what an older player with a lot of miles on his tires, what a little bit of a breather does for them. And when he was with the Dodgers, they kind of worked that into their program, based on blisters and stuff like that. So maybe that little breather is kind of what he needed to get back on track and pitch the way he was in June.
Yeah, we'll see if the rest does Walker Buehler some good as he makes that start coming up on Tuesday in Atlanta. And, of course, we'll preview that series during our post-game coverage coming up a little bit later on as we get ready for this final game of the 3-game series in Kansas City. Taking a look at the Padres lineup today. Looks like this: Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off, Jackson Merrill in center field batting second, Manny Machado at third base batting third, Ty France at first base batting cleanup, Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth, Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting sixth, Luis Rengifo getting a start today playing second base and batting seventh, Jace Bowen in left field batting eighth, and Luis Campusano is doing the catching and batting ninth. Padres did make a couple of moves before today's game. As we said earlier, Padres did reinstate right-hander Randy Vasquez from the 15-day IL. They designated right-hander Ron Marinaccio for assignment. So interesting move there. Vasquez will, I would presume, be available out of the bullpen today. Don't quote me on that because we didn't hear from Craig Stammen, but it would kind of only make sense that Randy would come off the IL today and you would DFA Marinaccio if you, only if you were willing to use Randy today. And that could be the case that Randy is going to come out of the bullpen, at least for the time being. So Randy is available today. Juan Marinaccio DFA'd. The Padres also reinstating left-hander Wandy Peralta from the bereavement list, and they optioned right-hander Johnny Brito back to AAA El Paso. So those were the two moves today. Padres should have Vasquez and Peralta available in this series finale in Kansas City. As we get ready for this one, let's quickly tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Ty France certainly in that category right now. Ty in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak, 9 for 18 in that span with 2 home runs, a double, and 4 RBIs. France hitting .365 with 5 doubles, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs in his last 16 games. Jake Cronenworth also in the hot category in the month of July, 14 games in. Jake has now recorded 6 multi-hit games and is hitting .320 with 8 RBIs. As far as the not category, Gavin Sheets really going through it right now. He is 0 for 25 in his last 8 games. That's now a career high 8-game hitless streak for Sheets. Manny Machado 0 for 7 in this series. Jackson Merrill 0 for 9 in this series, now 0 for 13 in his last 3 games. And that is a quick look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 11:10 a.m. Now let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
We take a look at, some Major League headlines from earlier today as the action begins. Okay, Shohei Ohtani will miss his scheduled start Wednesday against the Phillies. He will not take the mound indefinitely as he deals with irritation in his left knee. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts announced earlier today. Orioles agreeing to a 5-year contract extension with starting pitcher Kyle Bradish. The team announced earlier today the deal reportedly worth $90 million over the course of the deal, the extension running through the 2031 season, and buys out Bradish's final 2 years of arbitration while covering what would have been his first 3 years of free agency. The Red Sox 12-game winning streak matches their 3rd longest in franchise history. If the Red Sox can win today, they'll have a chance to win 13 in a row for the first time since 1948. So we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up later. Cubs acquired right-hander Aaron Savali and cash considerations from the Athletics for minor league righty Aiden Moffitt yesterday after their game against Minnesota. This will be Savali's 2nd time pitching with the Cubs. And finally, some bad news for the Milwaukee Brewers. Their starting pitcher, Brandon Woodruff, announced he would undergo another anterior capsule surgery on his right shoulder that will likely end his season. It is the same surgery he had after the 2023 season. No timeline on his rehab yet, but the last recovery he had with that same surgery, that was about 20 months. So might be a while for Brandon Woodruff. And that is a full look at least some of the headlines from around the major leagues on this Sunday. When we come back, we still have a lot to do. We'll have our keys to today's game. Plus, we also hear from former Padre, current Royal pitcher Michael Wacha. Really good conversation with Michael Wacha coming your way. Much, much more to do as we get you ready for first pitch coming up at 11:10 a.m. from Kansas City on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our Padres Radio Network studios as we get ready for today's game. First pitch is coming up at 11:10 a.m. Padres trying to win this series finale after a couple of very tough losses to begin this road trip in Kansas City. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in just more than 20 minutes. Our starting pitching matchup today, left-hander Noah Cameron on the mound for Kansas City, right-hander German Marquez on the mound for San Diego. We'll hear from former Padre pitcher Michael Wacha in just a moment. Really good conversation with him coming up, so stay tuned for that. But right now, let's tell you about one Royal, an important Royal, who is out of today's lineup.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Now, Bobby Witt Jr., the star Royal shortstop, all-star once again here in 2026. He is out of today's lineup due to a tight back. Only time he's been out of the lineup this year prior to this was a 6-game stretch in late June. So Bobby Witt Jr., a guy who typically plays every day. Tell you what, he has not looked very good offensively in this series, and he's been slumping going back to before the All-Star break. So maybe not a huge surprise that Bobby Witt Jr. is being held out today, but he is dealing with a tight back, so he is out of today's lineup in this series finale for Kansas City. Now let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the majors on this Sunday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a handful of games going on already today. The White Sox leading the Blue Jays 3-0 in Toronto in the 6th inning. Doubleheader today between the Yankees and the Dodgers in the Bronx because they were rained out yesterday in New York. Dodgers leading 2-0 against the Yankees in the 4th inning in Game 1 of that doubleheader. Mets and the Phillies in Philadelphia, they're scoreless in the 1st inning. Rays and the Red Sox in the 1st inning at Fenway, scoreless there. Rangers and the Braves in Atlanta, they are scoreless in the 1st. Other games coming up a little bit later. Pirates and the Guardians at 1:40 in Cleveland. Orioles and the Astros in Houston. Pirates and Guardians coming up at 10:40 a.m. West Coast time in Cleveland. Orioles and the Astros at 11:10 a.m. in Houston. Marlins and the Brewers at 11:10 in Milwaukee. Twins and the Cubs in Chicago at 11:20. Reds and the Rockies at 12:10 in Colorado. Nationals and the A's in Sacramento at 1:05. Tigers and the Angels at 1:07 in Anaheim. Giants and the Mariners at 1:10 in Seattle. Cardinals and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 1:10 as well. And again, later on this evening, Dodgers and the Yankees in Game 2 of that doubleheader. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. Well, Michael Wacha signed a long-term deal with the Royals after he was a Padre in 2023. Padres, remember, signed him to a one-year deal in 2023 and really ended up being a very, very important season for Michael Wacha. 3.22 ERA, 24 starts. He was very good, a huge part of that rotation for the Padres in 2023. Wacha has been around a while now in the midst of his 14th major league season, debuted with the St. Louis Cardinals all the way back in 2013 at the age of 21. Michael Wacha spoke with Padres Spanish language radio broadcaster Pedro Gutierrez earlier during this series in Kansas City.
Michael, coming off an appearance of the All-Star game, they say your career, you're still going strong. Just talk about a little bit of what 2026 has been for you and how important it was to just be at the All-Star game and continue to perform at a high level.
Yeah, no, it's been a cool year so far. You know, was able to get to participate in that WBC earlier this year, and then getting the nod for the All-Star game here in the middle of the summer was a pretty awesome honor for sure. You know, just getting back, it was an incredible experience. Got to have my family there with me, and able to get into the game and pitch a little scoreless inning, which was always nice. And, you know, just coming back, just feeling, extremely blessed.
a rookie right-hander, 2013, pitching the World Series. That was you with the St. Louis Cardinals. Just talking about this journey you've had 13 years later, going strong. What can you attribute has been the key to your success here in the majors?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's looking at it, it's just been a heck of a ride, and just still feeling good, still loving to compete, and still wanting to get better in different aspects of my game and stuff. But I mean, I think a lot of it goes in, a lot of different stuff goes into it for sure. I mean, there's been some ups and downs throughout my career, that's for sure. But having a great family to be able to lean on in those tough times has been extremely helpful. But also, I was talking with some guys over the All-Star break, just having, the opportunity to play with some different organizations. I think it's been about 6 different organizations, but at each stop, you meet different players, you meet different coaching staffs that, might have a different view of how to play the game, or could show you something that could lead to some success in my own career. And so getting to be around, so many different players, so many different coaching staffs and pitching coaches has definitely played into a lot of success in my career.
Touching on that, several stops along the way, one of them being San Diego 2023. You faced former teams before. It's not to be the first time you face the Padres, but just in general, just like a little bit of just looking back, and what was 2023 for you with the Padres, being able to have a very productive year with them?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think back about that year a lot. Being able to work with Ruben was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of different stuff, that year in 2023 with them. And, it was an unsuccessful year, in my eyes. We didn't make the playoffs that year. But being around so many great players, that have now become friends, saw some of them at the All-Star game. And, it was just an incredible experience for me and my family.
And finally, just touching back on the 13 years in the majors now, the fact you've got this experience and you've been there, done that, been everywhere with a lot of young pitchers here on your side of the Royals. Just talk in general, how do you take that responsibility, knowing now that a lot of players look up to you and try to follow an example of the career that you've been able to achieve?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what we do in this game. You got to pass down the knowledge. You got to try to leave this game in a better spot than whenever you found it. And that's how I was, as a rookie. I was lucky enough to have some veterans in that clubhouse that showed me, how to do it, how to perform on the field, how to do it off the field as well. How to carry yourself to be a professional. And so, I was very lucky to have those guys. And so, try to do the same for any of these young guys in this clubhouse, be a role model, or, lead by example at times. But, no, it's, we've got a lot of really, really good young pitchers that, they want to get better. They have great heads on their shoulders, and, that have a very bright future ahead of them.
That was former Padres pitcher Michael Wacha, current Royal Michael Wacha, with Padres Spanish language radio broadcaster Pedro Gutierrez. Really nice job there by Pedro. Really nice interview with Michael Wacha. Wacha, an all-star in 2026, a 3.77 ERA in 19 starts, 119 plus innings. That actually leads the American League. So Wacha having a very, very good year. And really, again, not to, harp on it too much for an opposing pitcher, not pitching this series against the Padres, but Michael Wacha came to San Diego after a pretty good 2022 with the Red Sox, put up a 3.22 ERA in 24 starts with the Padres in 23, and then he parlayed that into a long-term deal with Kansas City, and he's been very good as a Royal so far. So good for Michael Wacha. Nice interview there with Michael. As we get ready for first pitch coming up in Kansas City at 11:10 a.m., we send things out to Jesse and Tony in under 15 minutes. Right now, let's give you our keys to this series finale.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1, France in KC. Ty France had the game-tying home run in the 9th inning on Friday, then had 2 doubles and a walk yesterday. How about this? Among players with at least 150 career plate appearances against the Royals, Ty France's 1087 OPS now ranks 3rd all-time behind Yordan Alvarez and Hall of Famer Dick Allen. And yesterday, with his 2 doubles and a walk, he passed Alex Rodriguez and Mike Trout on that all-time list for OPS leaders against the Royals. So he is an absolute Royal killer. Ty France, we'll see if Ty can have a big impact on this game once again here today. Key number 2, Tame Thomas. Lane Thomas has a home run in each game of this series for Kansas City. In 13 games this month, he's hitting .340 with a major league leading 12 extra base hits, 2 more than any other player, has a 1086 OPS, 13 extra base hits in his last 15 games. Can the Padres prevent Lane Thomas from having a big impact on this game? That is key number 2. Key number 3, Jesse alluded to this a little bit earlier, and it was true. Padres have had trouble slugging against left-handed pitching in particular this season. So key number 3 today, power up against the Royals lefty Noah Cameron. Padres have just 17 home runs this season against left-handed pitching. That is the fewest in the major league. So can the Padres get a little power against the left-handed starter here today? And key number 4, slow down Salvi. Salvador Perez, how about this, is 2 home runs shy of matching George Brett for the Royals franchise record. Salvi hit number 315 in yesterday's game, his 12th home run of the season. Perez is 3 for 5 in his career with 2 doubles and a home run against Padres starter German Marquez. So Salvador Perez, certainly somebody to keep an eye on in this game, and he is playing first base today for Kansas City. And that is a look at some of the keys to today's game as the Padres try to salvage this series finale. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, we'll focus on the first inning of today's game in particular. I'll tell you why, and we also break down today's starting pitching matchup. Young left-hander Noah Cameron on the mound for Kansas City, and right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Padres. Much, much more to do as we get you ready for first pitch coming up in about 20 minutes right here on this Sunday on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our Padres Radio Network studios. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in Kansas City in just about 7 minutes. First pitch coming your way at 11:10 a.m. Today is a Military Sunday here on the Padres Radio Network, and as always, Military Sunday is brought to you by our San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game in KC.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
Well, in yesterday's game, we saw the Royals strike early in the first inning, right? The early home run. And the Royals lately have been scoring early quite a bit. Their first inning offense has been the most prolific in the major leagues, going back to the beginning of June, a stretch in which they lead all 30 major league teams in runs scored in the first inning, in batting average in the first inning, in on-base percentage in the first inning, in slugging and OPS in the first inning. So, you got to watch this offense in the first inning. They like to get it going early. If you're the Padres in this series finale, looking for a win to salvage this series finale, not get swept by this Royals team, you don't want to fall behind. So keep an eye on that first inning, bottom half of the first inning, as German Marquez takes the mound. Speaking of Marquez, let's dive into today's starting pitching matchup.
Let's break down how today's starters are shaping up with our starting pitching preview. Brought to you by Harrah's Resort Southern California and the First Down Sports Bar in Funner, California. Don't just watch the match, experience the glory. Head to Funner for every World Cup match to enjoy stadium-level energy and amazing specials at the best sports bar in SoCal.
Left-hander Noah Cameron on the mound for the Royals today, 27 years old. He's 5-7 with a 4.89 ERA and 18 starts this season, 95 2/3 innings. He struck out 91. He's given up 104 hits this season. Cameron in the midst of his second year in the major leagues, a 2.99 ERA and 24 starts as a rookie last season. He was very good. Faced the Padres last June in San Diego, when 5 innings and a third, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. He did, though, have a pretty rough finish to the first half of this season, put up a 7.40 ERA in 4 starts before the All-Star break. So Cameron trying to bounce back in his first start of the second half here today. Meanwhile, right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Padres, 31 years old. Marquez in 2026, a 5.18 ERA and 41 2/3 innings for the Padres. Marquez, though, has been pretty good since coming off the IL, a 3.75 ERA in 3 appearances, 2 starts in those appearances off the IL. He made a start last Sunday against the Blue Jays, when 4 innings, 3 earned runs given up, did allow 2 home runs. Marquez has a 6.19 career ERA and 3 starts against Kansas City. Made a start in Kansas City last year with the Rockies, gave up 6 runs on 8 hits in 4 innings. And that is a look at our starting pitching matchup here today. German Marquez on the mound for the Padres and left-hander Noah Cameron on the mound for the Royals. Well, let's set the table one more time for you as we get ready for this one. Padres losing on Friday and Saturday. Really, really tough loss on Friday, and then losing 6-1 in yesterday's game. Padres enter this game a record of 48-50. The good news, little silver lining from this series so far, the Padres have actually not dropped any ground over this weekend in the wild card race. The Padres still, although they have a lot of teams between them and the final National League wild card spot, Padres still 3.5 games out of a wild card spot in the National League. But Padres would be wise to start racking up some wins. We'll see if they can do that here today. As always, we appreciate you listening to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. When we come back, we send things out to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.